Good morning, gun nuts. I'm Nathan, and this is a reloading press. Today we're going to be assembling some inline fabrication mounts and just kind of do an initial impressions video. We have two 7.5-inch Ultramount Junior mounts. One is a quick change mount that I can switch between my Hornady Progressive press, the Lyman Crusher press, and the Lyman 4500 lubricizer. The other Ultramount Junior is a dedicated mount, and it has a plate specifically designed for the T-Mag 2. So first, let's go ahead and put together the Ultramount for the T-Mag 2. It's relatively simple. There's two mounts. Got all the hardware laid out. You need a 7/16 socket and a 5/32 Allen wrench. The holes on the mounts are countersunk. Inline Fabrication provides you with all the necessary hardware to put your mounts together and to mount your presses to their mounts. It doesn't give you the hardware to mount your mounts to the bench, except for in the case of the flush mount. Comes with hardware for that. All the hardware seems to be quite robust. The threads seem to be very nice. It's good hardware. I'm not going to tighten these up completely yet, but I am going to snug them up quite a bit. Powder coat work on the Inline Fabrication mounts is exquisite. It's very well done. It's very robust. Doesn't seem to flake or scrape or scratch very easily. Now the reason why I'm not mounting these hard right yet is I want to do a little bit more configuring, making sure that it's going to be square and right before I go ahead and tighten it down for good. And in order to do that, measure from hole to hole. Looks to be perfect. I've got the blanket on the bench right now because I still have technically a couple hours before it is done curing. Poured the bench Saturday morning and it is now Monday night. So technically I think it's fine, but just to be sure, mount comes with 3 studs. They go in here, they go into the mounting plate, and then the press mounts over top of the studs. Got a little bit of Loctite I want to put on each one of these. Now with Loctite, I'll tell you what, less is usually more. Some people really go, in my opinion, overboard on Loctite. especially this red Loctite. It's pretty tight, tough stuff. We're not going to final mount the press yet, but I will show you how it sits on here. So this will sit just like this, and they have lock washers and plain nuts. Little screw on here. Now you shouldn't have to tighten this up. You shouldn't necessarily have to hold the studs with an Allen wrench to do so, but it might help. Now what I'm doing here is I'm checking because I want to make sure that this will mount to the lip and that I have full function of the press, of which I do. Now as you guys know, this press in particular is going to be going over onto the bench over here to the side. So this one is done and dusted, guys. Alright, so for our next mount, so these are Ultramount Juniors. There is a larger mount for these that's it's called the Ultramount, and I think it's 9 inches lift. Now because I'm doing a sit down, I don't necessarily want that much lift. So once again, here's our hardware. It's really nice that they provide you with a lock nut for things like this. It ensures that in the future that you don't have mounts with hardware backing out. A lot of times you can use lock washers for certain things, but they mar the surface and they have their own negative side effects. I used to use a lot of nylon nuts. So these have a nylon ring inside there for years when we were racing and things like that. When you're using lock nuts, you do not have to use Loctite. And in my opinion, it's not one of those things like more locking force is better either. If you have lock nuts, don't bother with the Loctite. Now, keep in mind that nylon nuts are designed to be used one time. So the locking portion of this, or the locking function of these nuts, once it has been engaged and it's going through the threading, that's all it has, is that one time. The quality of this steel and the thickness of it sometimes is very hard to get across on videos. I remember the first time I looked at Inline Fabrication's equipment, I thought, that looks okay, but I did not fully grasp just how robust all these mounts are. They're not going to move. Alright, now you see this slot back here, and there's also a small Allen screw back on the back here. what this does is allows you to adjust the amount of force on this tang right here. So when you slide this piece in, it slides in, goes in here, and then you can adjust this to adjust out any kind of play that may exist. Now let's take a look at the crusher too. As you can see, you have countersunk holes. And instead of a flat washer or a lock washer and a standard nut for this, you get a lock nut. Here you need a 3/16 Allen wrench and a 1/2 inch socket. And as you guys can see, this whole set process is really quite simple. It doesn't require a lot of different tools, but at the same time it's very stable and very strong. Now this crusher press is actually going to be mounted on the third mount that I'll show you just as soon as we get done with this here. All right. So let me take you over and show you the third mount that we have from Inline Fabrication. This mount is called the flush mount. Now, as you can see, mine doesn't necessarily sit flush. There was a plan for it to sit flush, and due to some considerations or the way the bench was put together, I wasn't able to do that. Now, I did sit it flat on top of the table. Now you have epoxy coming up. Something to keep in mind, guys, the center portion where the interchangeable plate sits needs to be routed out a small amount, not a ton, but some. So I've already taken care of that. And as you can see, the press slides right in. Now, this doesn't have any hardware in it yet. It's being held in solely just by the epoxy for the top. But as you can see, that's how this press is going to sit. And it's going to be doing bullet sizing as well as the Lyman 4500. So let's go ahead and get it mounted to its plate. Alright, so the Lyman 4500 press comes with its own challenge because it doesn't have bowl holes, it has slots. So what we have from Inline Fabrication are, of course, our countersunk bolts. Very thick washers. And lock nuts, as we had in the past. Go ahead and snug these up a little bit. I'm not going to tighten them down, I'm just snugging them up just a little bit, just so I know that they're in there. And then we'll do a little bit of adjustment on them. Alright, you need to make sure that the plate is mounted up tight against the press. Everything looks good. These slots make it a little bit difficult because sometimes the bolts don't want to stay. They want to spread one way or the other, so you kind of have to fight that. But let's go check and see how it fits inside the flush mount. Alright, so the Lyman 4500. And it fits right in there like a glove. No fuss, no muss. Everything's going to operate, everything's clear, terrific. Alright, so now for the Hornady Lock and Load AP. This is the largest press that we've got, so it has substantially larger hardware, requiring a 7/32 Allen wrench and 9/16 socket. Plate number's 24. Hardware slides in just like so, just like I did with everything else. And you have washers and lock nuts. Something I see here that I have an extra bolt that I wasn't quite sure where it went to, but I think I see where I'm going to put it. You see this mount right here? There's a lot of different things that use that mount, including case feeders, and that bolt is long enough that it actually looks like it would interfere with a case feeder on here. So this looks like it might be a better option for that hole. Now unfortunately I do not have a 9/16 1/4" socket on me today, so here I am once again breaking hearts using a crescent wrench. It's funny, Willie Bulletman said something the other day about, in reply to my crescent wrench topic, and Willie, it's funny because when I ran a crew doing aircraft maintenance, I'm not gonna say lose my top, but I would get quite aggravated if I saw somebody use an adjustable wrench. And it's funny because now I find myself using them. But this plate mount's a lot simpler than the Lyman 4500 because once again we got mounting holes, and there's not a lip really that the lip actually helps rather than hurts for mounting this plate. It kind of gives you a good location, a good way to locate. So all you got to do is just kind of move it up until you're fully engaged, and then just tighten it up. Now lock nuts, guys, it doesn't actually take a ton of force. Don't get a breaker bar on this thing, it's just not needed. Tighten them up until they stop, and then give them just a little bit, 1/8 of a turn or so, and then you're going to be tight enough. Alright. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look and see what we're going to bring our mount to the corner of the table. We slide in. Now keep in mind, guys, this is not going to be stable right now. Like, I can't let this go because it's not bolted down. But it looks like we got plenty enough room to operate the press with the 7.5 inch and not going into the 3/4 inches of trim. So here's what we look like, guys. So Inline Fabrication makes this job really, really easy. They give you all the hardware that you need that would be a little bit hard to find. So all the countersunk machine screws and stuff like that, they provide. So all you need is a Allen wrench set, standard by the way, not metric, a small socket set, and you'll be ready to go. Now for the part that some of you guys might be looking forward to. Inline Fabrication was nice enough to send me the 2 extra large and large t-shirts and the hat. Alright, so if you're interested in either an extra large, a large, or a hat, go into the reloadersnetwork.com, comment on this video, tell me which one of these 3 you're interested in, and what we'll do is we'll tally up how many people were interested. And then on the July 6th Georgia Shooting Connection live stream, we'll go ahead and assign everybody a number, and then we'll do the random number generation and choose numbers, and then I'll get back in touch with you if you're not on the live stream and get these mailed out to you. Links are going to be down in the description, guys. I hope that was clear. You say go on to thereloadersnetwork.com, put your name, what you're interested in. On the July 6th Georgia Shooting Connection live stream, we'll go ahead and choose numbers. Let's go ahead. We've got one last thing to do, and that is to put the Inline Fabrication sticker up on the hutch. Alright guys, so I'm trying to choose the best spot. I can go down below Henry, maybe up next to NRA. Yeah, up next to NRA. Nice enough to give us some t-shirts to give away. Let's get them up there. InlineFabrication.com, performance reloading equipment. Guys, I appreciate you hanging with me. I know this was a bit of a long video, but I look forward to seeing your comments on the reloadersnetwork.com and drawing your name on the Georgia Shooting Connection live stream. And until then, stay safe, have fun. I'll see you when I see you. Laters.